Echoes from the Abbey by Sheila Hodgson, based on an idea by M.R. James, with David March as James. Echoes from the Abbey.
I have always held that friendship is the main thing. Friendship ranks first amongst the uncertain pleasures of this world. I have been fortunate in my friends, but acquaintances, that is an altogether different matter. The casual meeting, the mumbled introduction, the name that all too often fails to reach my ear, and if it does, will convey nothing when I come face to face with the owner some days later. Oh, horrible, horrible. But the letter from Arthur Layton now. We had met infrequently since 1893 down the years. He was a good student who blazed a path through King's and then fizzled off into the shadows. He had apparently been made headmaster of some private school. Well, well. The man wanted me to visit him at Christmas, a suggestion I should most certainly have declined had not my own plans gone sadly awry owing to illness. His letter struck me as altogether too friendly, eager, pressing. But the address fascinated me. Medborough Abbey. I really felt a great desire to examine Medborough Abbey. And then again, you see, his letter was so very odd.
We are honoured, Dr. James. It's really very good of you. And at Christmas, too. Though Arthur tells me you're working on a book.
Yes.
Something to do with the English abbeys. Oh, how fascinating. It must be wonderful to be able to write. And such, well, intellectual work, too. I'm sure I should find any book of yours quite incomprehensible. Are you comfortable in that chair? Do feel at liberty to change. Perhaps you'd like to be nearer the fire.
No. This is admirable, thank you.
A cushion?
Quite unnecessary, I assure you.
Oh, you're too hot. I knew those logs were a mistake. Just pull your chair back. Only please be careful of the tiger.
I beg your pardon.
It's behind you, the tiger skin rug. It looks so rich and primitive lying there, but people keep falling over the head, particularly visitors.
I shall exercise caution. Am I to understand that your husband shot?
Good heavens, no. Arthur is the mildest man on earth. Quite frankly, that is part of the trouble. He ought to take a much stronger line when dealing with inferiors and parents. I'm sure you are always very firm with tiresome characters, Dr. James. The women are the worst, don't you find? Oh, what we suffer from a lot of wretched mothers. Why are you staring at the rug?
Oh, forgive me. It is an interesting object. Dear me, yes. That is the fatal bullet hole, no doubt.
No, moth.
Moth?
We got 12 and sixpence off the price because it had moth. I put my foot down. When times are a little difficult, have you noticed? Everybody starts to cheat you. And you won't believe this. Our butcher asked for payment in cash. Oh, please don't move the rug. It's covering something.
God bless my soul.
I hope you don't mind plain speaking. I believe in being honest. And you are such an old friend of the family.
You are most kind, Mrs. Layton, but do let us clarify the situation. I have not seen your husband for several years. He was one of my best students at Cambridge.
Oh, yes, the dreaming spires.
You are thinking of Oxford.
Oh, how foolish of me. I expect that's a cardinal sin. Oh, would you care for some tea? I don't think Arthur can be much longer. I can't imagine how he came to miss you at the station.
Please do not distress yourself. The walk was the most enjoyable.
Yes, madam? Tea, Mary. And muffins?
Why, thank you, yes.
The only thing that makes winter at all tolerable, don't you agree? Hot muffins by the fire. Muffins, Mary?
Crumpets, madam.
Oh, very well. 2 each. And tell cook they must have plenty of butter on them.
Yes, madam.
We find it so difficult to get really good servants these days. And we have to have a large staff, you see, because of the boys.
Quite.
I believe I read one of your stories in a magazine.
Indeed?
Yes. It was on the way to Liverpool Street.
Are you entirely sure? I cannot remember any story of mine.
No, you misunderstand me. I was on the way to Liverpool Street. Train journeys can be so tedious. I had to have something to read.
No doubt.
I seem to remember horrid noises and a ghost. In my opinion, we have quite enough real troubles in this world without bothering to invent... Oh, there's Arthur.
Dr. James, I must apologize.
You missed him at the station.
You gave me the wrong time, my dear. The Cambridge train arrives at 3:20, not at 4:10. I'm delighted to see you, sir.
How are you, Leighton?
Oh, it's very civil of you to come, and in such cold weather, too. Oh, have you had tea?
Mary is bringing muffins, dear.
Crumpets, I believe. We were served, eventually, with toast. Mrs. Leighton pleaded some domestic chore and left us sitting before the fire.
Another piece of toast, Dr. James.
Oh, thank you, no.
I hope you'll forgive my writing, inviting... What a situation. It's got to succeed, you see. I have to make a success of this.
Oh, my dear fellow, why not? I meant to congratulate you on your appointment. It seems a very handsome building. Are there many pupils?
50. Last year I had 85.
Oh, well, there could be many reasons for that. A shift in population, a drop in the birth rate. What is the view of the school governors?
The place belongs to me.
Does it indeed? Well, there should be a demand for this type of establishment. I confess I never expected any more than I realized you were married, Leighton.
2 years ago, I put all our money into the Medborough Academy for young gentlemen. I can do it, James. I have the ability, the talent. You remember my career at Cambridge?
Yes, we expected great things of you.
It's a question of luck. Well, isn't it? If a man never gets the chance
But you have it now, my dear Leighton, and I am confident you will make the most of things.
Education is a trust, an honourable profession. To guide the minds of the young should be a privilege. Why do teachers argue about money?
Alas. Shall I help myself to another cup?
I have such problems with the staff, and the expenses are quite extortionate. Do you know how much I pay for the gymnasium?
No. You certainly have my best wishes. You seem to me to have embarked on something of a gamble, but who can tell? It may turn out for the best.
Yes. Thank you. You see, it occurred to me. I thought, would you care to mention Medborough Academy to your friends at Cambridge? I should be most grateful, and perhaps a small article in the House magazine.
Oh, dear me. Oh, bless my soul. It would be highly improper, Leighton. You surely realize... I really must decline to do anything of the sort. I have no knowledge at all of your school, apart from admiring the architecture. I'm sorry. But what you suggest is out of the question.
You'll be staying over Christmas. You can form an opinion.
When the school is empty. No. Oh, could we drop the subject, please? It can only embarrass both of us. I fear you've invited me to Medborough on a false assumption. This is most unfortunate. Perhaps I had better leave.
No, I beg you, please. I no intention of offending you, Dr. James, upon my word. I merely wondered... I quite see you can't. If you had any advice...
You might perhaps increase the fees?
They're considered too high already.
Fortunately, it became essential to unpack my clothes. I left him in a deep melancholy, stabbing at the logs with a cast-iron poker. I woke the next morning to an eerie stillness, a total silence, the bright white glare, which means only one thing: it has been snowing during the night. From my window I could see the ruins of Medborough Abbey, broken stones powdered with frost, the jagged line of what had once been the north transept. It struck me that it might be prudent to examine the site before weather conditions became quite impossibly horrid.
Aren't they up yet? Don't think so. He dropped off in front of the fire last night and she's having one of her turns.
Snow crunched underfoot as I picked my way towards the ruins. The church had wholly gone, but there remained 2 finely vaulted bays from the chapter house and some excellent late perpendicular work. I judged the earliest thing there to be of Norman date, a fragment of the south cloister. A tiresome wind hissed between the crevices. I pulled my cloak tight around me and suddenly became aware of eyes. A small boy perched on top of a broken pillar, gazing down at me.
Hello? Dear me, you'd better get off there, my boy, before you break your neck.
He continued to stare at me in absolute horror, as if beholding some monstrous ghost. So I called to him again.
Boy, come down here, boy.
Are you one of them?
What's this? My what? Come down, you little imp.
He tumbled backwards in frantic alarm.
Ah!
He picked himself up and disappeared amongst the shattered tombstones, running.
Oh, confound it. I can explain, Dr. James.
I'm relieved. For a moment, I swear, I thought I'd seen a ghost, or he had seen a ghost. The child appeared to be terrified out of his wits.
What's happened, dear?
It's Harley, again.
Oh, no, this is getting so tiresome.
One of our pupils, Dr. James. His parents have gone to India. The father holds some minor post in Hyderabad. Consequently, the son has been left with us over the Christmas holidays.
I wouldn't mind, but he really is a most disagreeable little boy.
We must do our best, Nora.
Well, I'm sure I'm doing everything I can, Arthur. Cook has made a Christmas cake, and the gardener is digging up a suitable tree, and I bought these specially for the occasion.
Oh, crackers. Good gracious. How very pleasant. Memories of long ago. Parties, paper hats, balloons.
Shall I save them for Christmas Day? Or do you think Christmas Eve? He mustn't stay up too late.
One moment. There he is. Harley, come in here, will you?
Tell him to wipe his feet. He's going to trample snow all over the carpet.
Boy, wipe your feet.
Oh, they have no consideration, you know. They never stop to think of the carpet. And if you put down rugs, they slide up and down the hall on purpose.
Come along. Come in. Now, this is Dr. James.
Sir?
Hello, Harley. I believe we've met before.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
You're sorry we've met before? Oh, dear me.
Harley, have you no manners, sir?
I thought he was somebody else.
He's not very bright. Look, Harley, Mrs. Layton has brought some crackers. Won't that be fun?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Yes, I suppose so.
Are you interested in the Abbey?
A bit.
Good. Now, I wonder, how much can you tell me about it? The history, the occupants,
Well, monks lived there, didn't they?
Yes. That'll do well enough for a beginning. How long, at a guess?
From Norman times, sir, till the dissolution of the monastery.
Excellent. We progress. Now, did you realize, Harley, that at the time of the suppression, Medborough Abbey was valued at £384? It doesn't seem very much, does it?
No, sir.
They were an enclosed order, only permitted to speak for 1 hour each day. I don't imagine that would suit you. Why, they even had a special room set aside for the purpose. I'll show you where it was one day.
That's all right, thanks. I've seen it.
You've seen the talking room?
Yes, sir.
Oh, capital. There's not much left. How did you find it? Do you have a book on the ruins? Did someone guide you round the site?
No, sir.
Harley, please don't be evasive. How did you know it was the talking room?
Well, I heard them, sir.
You heard them?
Talking.
You'd better run along. You can take the crackers, give them to Mary, and say they're for the table on Christmas Day.
Yes, Mrs. Layton.
Arthur, I think that boy's slightly mental.
Nonsense. He's trying to show off. What a pathetic display. He wants to make a stir to force the company to notice him. Has he written to his parents yet?
Yes, dear.
Well, make sure I see the letter before it's posted. Oh, excuse me. One has to be so very careful. It would be calamitous if they got the wrong impression.
Oh, quite. I wonder what he heard.
Why, nothing.
Nothing?
The wind, flurry of snow. Or sightseers. Yes, we get large numbers of visitors wandering among the ruins.
My dear Layton, in the middle of winter. It really struck me as the height of absurdity. Yet, as I dressed for dinner that night, the affair troubled me. I considered the boy to be both timid and commonplace, unlikely to seek or welcome notoriety. I met him twice in the passageway. He scuttled past, mumbling "sir" to the carpet. I glanced back on the second occasion and discovered him clutching the banister rail, gazing at me with small, bewildered eyes. Oh, dear me, I am prepared to suffer fools, if not gladly, patiently. But hysteria should not be encouraged in the young. Come in.
You have everything you need, Dr. James.
Yes, indeed.
We dine at 6:30. I trust that will be convenient.
Capital. On no account alter your routine for me. What a splendid view of the Abbey in the moonlight.
Yes, it looks very fine against the snow. Upon my word, James, we've got every advantage here. Cultural, aesthetic. What more do they want?
Oh, bless my soul, now that's very curious.
We have fresh air, long country walks, a sound academic program. Is something wrong?
But I wonder, unless I'm very much mistaken, there is a light in the Abbey.
Oh, surely not.
Oh, see for yourself, over there, moving behind the chapter house. No, it's gone. No, there it is again, to the right of the chancel arch. Strange. Well, I really think that ought to be investigated, you know.
Yes.
Well, my dear man, you have got intruders. They could damage the stonework, that splendid north window. Do make haste. Call the servants, or I'll come with you.
Oh. Goodness. It's abominably cold, James.
Yes.
Careful. There are patches of ice on the path. I shouldn't worry too much.
The light. It's gone.
Yes. Here, take my arm. Must have been a trick, an optical illusion. The moon reflected back through the snow.
Must not know. Wait. Listen. He must not know. Sure. What in the name of God is that?
The wind.
Must not know. Sure. Oh, come. You heard the voices over there. But no, they're fading. They've gone. And I can't see.
No, it's too dark. James, I beg you, let us go back to the house. This is not safe.
You heard them too?
No. And the snow's hiding half the stonework. We shall break an ankle or worse. My dear fellow, do come.
Oh, it's extraordinary. I have a sensation of being followed. If I turn suddenly, I might even catch a glimpse, a shadow on the ice, a figure sliding behind the archway.
There is nobody there. You'll fall, for pity's sake.
I beg your pardon. You are right, of course. This is not sensible. I followed him back to the house, stepping cautiously amongst the ruined masonry. He was so determined to find nothing amiss, to detect nothing in the least abnormal, that I humoured him. When I re-entered my bedroom, I gazed from the window. Our footsteps lay printed back along the snow-bound path. Only there weren't 2 sets of tracks. There were 3.
Happy Christmas, Dr. James.
Good morning, Mrs. Layton, and a happy Christmas to you. I see we've had more snow during the night.
Yes, indeed. I've asked Watkins to sweep the path. The butcher had a very nasty fall when he was delivering the meat. Oh, you like goose, I hope. I find turkey too dry and so tasteless unless you have a small bird, which is simply not economical. And
goose will be admirable.
Oh, James, happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Now, have you ordered? Are you taking tea, coffee, or ale?
Coffee, thank you. You have recovered from the business of last night, I trust?
A few bad dreams. There's no need to bore the household with them. Shall we agree to forget the whole episode, particularly in front of the servants and you-know-who?
By all means.
This is the festive season, away with melancholy. Ah, Mary, a pot of hot coffee for Dr. James.
Yes, sir. And please, sir, Gladys wants to speak to you, most urgent.
Not in the middle of breakfast, surely. What's the matter?
It's on account of what she found, sir. She doesn't want to make trouble, I'm sure. Only it was hidden under the mattress.
Outside, if you don't mind. Go along, go along.
I told her to speak to you. I mean, it's worrying.
Oh, sir. I was making the bed, sir. I turn the mattresses every day, no matter what the mistress might tell you. Only when I went to heave the thing up... Look.
Let me see.
do have a little marmalade, Dr. James. Cook makes it herself. Your coffee will be here in a moment.
Thank you. There appears to be no spoon.
Oh, dear me, how careless. I'll ring for Mary shortly. We have such difficulties with the staff.
No doubt.
James, if I might trouble you.
Shall I come too, dear?
No. Sit down. Finish your meal. James, I want your advice.
Indeed.
The chambermaid, Gladys, has just found that in young Harley's bedroom, hidden under a mattress, would you believe?
Gold crucifix? Bless my soul. But why should a boy want to hide it? Well, may I see it?
Yes, by all means. I've sent for him. I'm seriously disturbed.
Well, it is, to say the least of it, unusual. Remarkable, in fact. Where on earth did it come from?
Stolen from some church?
I judge it to date back to the 16th century. My dear Leighton, the thing is extremely old.
Then it's worth a great deal of money. Oh, Harley, come here, boy. Don't loiter on the stairs. Come here.
Yes, sir.
Gladys has discovered this in your room. I'm waiting for your explanation.
It isn't mine.
It was hidden under the mattress. Now, have you the impudence to...
Oh, please. If the golden cross is not yours, Harley, kindly tell us who it belongs to.
Well, him, I suppose.
What? What?
He came and stood at the foot of my bed, sir. I think he was a monk.
What lunacy is this? Harley, how did you come by a crucifix?
I don't know.
You will tell me at once, you wretched child.
I can't.
Dear.
I woke up, it felt awfully cold, and I saw him leaning across my bed.
A monk?
No, I refuse to listen to a farrago of lies. I suppose he threatened you, Harley. No doubt he shrieked and gibbered and then vanished.
No, sir.
Well, what did happen, boy?
He just looked rather surprised, as if he couldn't think what I was doing there. Then he went.
Through the wall, of course.
I'm not sure. I hid under the blanket. I don't know anything about the crucifix either, unless he left it behind.
Go to your room.
Oh, wait, if I might just... Harley, what did your monk wear?
I've forgotten.
Oh, what a pity. I should be greatly obliged if you would try to remember.
Answer, Dr. James.
You said a monk.
Yes, sir.
Well?
He had a long brown thing on with a hood, and it was tied about his waist with a dressing gown cord.
Capital, thank you, Harley. For your information, the hood is generally described as a cowl, and the dressing gown cord is more usually called a cincture. Now, can you remember that? A cincture, hmm?
Yes, sir.
Go upstairs. I shall deal with you later. I'm seriously displeased.
Had it not been Christmas, I really believe the unfortunate Harley would have been confined for the rest of the day. As it was, Leighton permitted him to join us for dinner, and no further reference was made to the affair. The boy ate in silence, a silence possibly induced by the extreme toughness of the goose. The meal passed, as I remember, in a kind of frantic hilarity. Mrs. Leighton wore a pink bow in her hair, and there were paper hats which perched uneasily on adult heads.
No, I protest. No, truly. I can't bear it when they go bad.
All harmless nonsense, until I happened to pull a cracker with young Harley. A slip of paper fell into my lap. I examined it, preparing to find yet another misconceived jest. In crooked capitals, it read, "They are waiting for you."
What have you got there, Dr. James? Another riddle?
No.
Oh, do read it out.
No. I shall spare the company this one. It is merely foolish.
Oh, come along, James. It can't be worse than the efforts we've had so far.
No.
Give it here. Give it here.
It is a thing of no significance.
Arthur is very good at puzzles.
Oh.
I beg your pardon. You'll have to excuse me. What are you doing here?
Christmas, sir. Christmas, sir. We've come to light the way. In a manner of speaking. Hope you have a flaming good holiday, Governor. Lord love you. May all your troubles go up in smoke.
Go away. Go away.
Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. Comfort and joy.
Mother, you look as if you'd seen a ghost. There's a ghost in the Abbey, but he's only there after dark.
Little boys must tell the truth. Why do you think that they're sticky?
There is no ghost.
I've seen him. He wears a brown sort of robe and a rope tied around his waist.
There's nothing to fear. A ghost? Why, we can soon exorcise a ghost with this.
Oh, dear me. But that really ought to be in a safe place.
Golden crucifix? Arthur!
Harley found it, my dear. Only Harley says he didn't find it. So who do we thank for this valuable, this beautiful object?
I don't know.
Oh, don't look so frightened, boy. We'll call it a gift from heaven and put it to good use.
Father, what are you doing? Where are you going?
To the Abbey.
Don't be so absurd.
Now let's put an end to this whispering malice and the lies and the scandal. Why should they damage my school? Haven't I got enough misery?
Please sit down.
They say the place is haunted. There's an evil spirit abroad. What do you make of that, James?
I fear it is all too likely.
Oh, then we shall fight the spirit with bell, book, and candle.
Oh, no,
Come
no,
along.
no.
Come along. Who will join me in defying the devil?
Father!
A service among the ruins. Exorcism. That should appeal to your sense of history, James.
Oh, no.
Now, let's find Book of Common Prayer. We shall need lanterns.
Mrs. Layton, I must ask you to excuse me from any such performance. I am not young.
Oh, Dr. James, oh, please come with us.
Well,
I'm afraid Arthur has had too much wine.
well, he has indeed. You should persuade him to go to bed.
I can't. I'm so sorry. I've never been able to influence my husband in any way.
Oh.
Don't leave me alone with him.
Harley. Now, fetch your coats and your mufflers.
Oh, no.
Oh, please, calm yourself. He appears to be summoning the entire staff.
Somebody ought to stop him.
Oh,
please,
dear me.
Please stop him.
Layton, really,
Come along.
I must protect
I'm ready for you, sir.
Are you ready? Oh, no. You leave everything. Follow me. Sticks. We shall need walking sticks. Who's got walking sticks? And now, pay attention to a boy slipping on the path. Take the hand of the person in front of you. We want no accidents. Is that clear? Please walk very carefully. Come along.
Stop it. Oh, don't push. I keep slipping. Where's Cobb gone? Cobb.
Halfway across the icebound graveyard, I caught up with young Harley.
Careful, boy.
You don't have to hang on to me, honestly.
Oh, but I rather think I do.
Are you frightened?
Well, am I supposed to be frightened?
We're going to lose the others.
No. Now, walk slowly. And tell me, as a matter of curiosity, you understand, why did you do it?
We mustn't fall behind.
I'm with you. Now, there's no cause for alarm. You put the message in the cracker.
Yes.
Why?
I thought you ought to know, sir.
But, oh dear, somebody is waiting for me. Oh, come, you will have to be more explicit. Where are these mysterious people?
In the Abbey, I expect.
Bless my soul. Are we talking about the monks of Medford?
You can hear them whispering all over the Abbey, but I don't suppose you believe that either.
Yes. Oh, yes, Harley. I have heard them too.
Yes, James, good. Gather round, everybody. We should be near the site of the high altar. Yes, James?
Possibly.
Now, put the crucifix on that ledge, Nora.
Oh, yes, sir.
Now, I've lost my place in the prayer book. Who's got the lantern?
Here, sir.
All right.
Arthur, if you take the lantern, we can't see.
Very well. I shall have to do it from memory. Lord, deliver us. Oh, please repeat the words after me.
Lord, deliver us.
Cast out all evil spirits and destroy mine enemy. Let him perish from the face of the earth. Let him be utterly defeated. Let his presence be felt in this holy place no more.
At which point somebody knocked over the lantern and the light went out. There was a certain amount of confused tumbling in the dark. By some malign chance, the moon chose that moment to vanish behind a surge of billowing clouds.
Oh, let go of my arm. Stop it there. You'll not be over.
Keep still. Keep still. It's perfectly all right. Don't worry. Has anybody got a box of matches?
Matches.
Arthur, can't we go back? These girls are getting cold.
Oh, in a moment, Nora. Please be sensible. But it's far too dangerous to start wandering about the ruins in the dark. We shall have moonlight before long.
I do think we should get under cover. My coat is quite wet.
Oh, very well, as you say. James, what do you suggest?
The arches beyond the north transept, perhaps?
Yes. All right, follow me. Be careful of loose stones.
He led the way, lurching across the uneven ground. The man had most certainly had too much to drink. He continually glanced over his shoulder at us. His eyes gleamed cat-like. But what personal and private demon pursued him, I cannot say. Presently we came upon a wrecked tower and huddled in the shelter of the vault.
Are we all here? Are you all right? Where's the boy? Holly.
Yes. Sir?
What an adventure, eh? Something to boast about when term begins again.
Yes, sir.
We shan't have to wait long.
Oh, well, I should hope not. Those awful shadows on the ground. They look so peculiar. Wherever are we?
I know where we are. We're in the talking room.
What's that?
The talking room. Can you hear them? Sometimes you can hear them.
Oh, gracious. Oh, I'm not stopping. I've had enough of this.
Wait! We'll go back together in a moment. Just think. The monks used to celebrate Mass between these walls. On Christmas Day, a smell of incense filled the place. The candles blinked on gold and fine linen and bejeweled statues. Bells rang from the high altar. But you'd better ask Dr. James. I'm sure he knows more about the Abbey than I do.
Yes.
What did they talk about in the talking room?
Oh, dear me, I have no idea.
Can't you guess?
Well, now, there is an old tale. They say the monks of Hᴏᴅɪᴏ, the Abbey being about to be suppressed, plotted together to retain their gold and silver. The plan being to burn the Abbey down and tell the king their treasure had been lost in the flames.
Isn't it odd? The power of imagination. I do declare I can smell burning.
I suppose they would have done it here, in the talking room.
Very like.
My word. You mean all that whispering?
Well, they had to exercise caution. They kept their purpose secret from the abbot for fear he would betray them. But in the event, the good abbot discovered their intention and pledged his full support. Unfortunately, King Henry also discovered their intention, and the monks were hanged.
I can smell burning.
Nonsense! Confound it.
What's the matter, Arthur? Where are you going?
The crucifix. I can't find the crucifix. We must have left the crucifix behind.
Oh.
You can have a look in the morning, dear.
It was on a ledge. I saw you put it there.
Yes,
it's
yes.
valuable. I've got to find it. James, help me to
Oh,
look.
not in this light, my dear fellow. Oh, Leighton, do come back.
Arthur, you hurt yourself. Where's he going?
I don't know, and neither does he. Leighton, this is mere folly.
I can't remember where we left it.
Oh, yeah. I suppose I had better go after the man.
They're coming!
What? What in God's name? There arose from the ruins a kind of spiralling vapour, a mist that wavered and took form and rushed down upon us as if on legs. The most appalling stench hit our nostrils. We fled in all directions, but the thing swept through us. My last impression was of a series of gaping mouths set in folds of dirty cloth.
Calm yourself. Keep still. I'm here. You're quite safe.
Where is the boy?
Sir?
Oh, are you all right?
Oh, yes, I knew they'd come one day.
What in the name of heaven was it?
Mist, wind, some form of hallucination.
But there were faces.
It is cold, it is dark. We were alarmed beyond all reason. Come, it seems to be possible to find the path now.
Take me home, I'm frightened.
Yes, we are going back to the house. Now, can you manage? Gladys, Mary.
Gladys is twisted her ankle, sir.
Oh, dear me, I will take my arm.
James, please be careful. There's no need to hurry.
We must get the women indoors. I assure you there's no difficulty. It really seems to have grown much lighter.
Oh, Lord. Sir, there's that mist again, coming over the tombstones.
I think not. No, that is quite definitely smoke.
Such an awful smell. What's gone wrong? Why does the light waver and change?
Look, what's that red above the trees?
Dear God, it's not possible. The school. Huh? Leighton, the school is on fire.
Lord, it's awful. Oh, my word, we might have been in there.
Look at them flames. We'd have been done for, you know that? Not a perishing chance. Here goes the road.
Stand back, everyone. Oh, somebody get those silly girls away.
My jewel case. It's in there.
Don't be a fool, Nora.
And my pearls, my necklace. I can't afford to
Now,
lose
Mrs.
them.
Leighton, do be reasonable. Nobody could get within 20 yards of that inferno.
Stay where you are, Nora, for pity's sake.
Stay here.
There's the fire engine!
Don't go near it, boy. Here they are.
Please. Find that out over here now. Come on, look at that. Hey, George, ready when you are. But we'll need the main line.
Hurry!
It's no use. It's too late. They can't do anything now.
And indeed, nothing could be done. The Christmas holiday, the difficulty in rounding up the firemen had, alas, fatally delayed the fire engine. Memory retained odd fragments of that night. Leighton's face in the glow of the flames, Mrs. Leighton clutching wildly at one of the maids. The final impression of broken walls, charred timber, and a pervasive reek of smoke. 2 months after the disaster, Arthur Leighton called on me.
It has been a nightmare, Dr. James. You have no conception. My wife is utterly prostrated by the shock, the anxiety.
Oh, my dear man, I'm so very sorry.
They tell me there's no hope of restoring the building. As for buying or even renting another house, in the midst of these disasters, James, I've had to write to every single parent.
Yes, of course. Commonplace routine still grinds on, doesn't it, no matter what distress we suffer. What happened to the boy?
The boy... Oh, he's gone. He left. Some relation, an aunt, I believe, came and took the wretched lad away.
A terrible experience for a child.
Oh, he wasn't hurt.
Not physically, no. I simply meant that night amongst the ruins.
Yes. Now, James, please think carefully. You were next to me. Can you remember what I did with the crucifix?
Do I understand you have lost it?
I've had nothing but bad luck, I tell you, my God. It wasn't there when I went back.
Oh, my dear fellow, if you left it behind in the Abbey, any stray tramp could have made off with it.
James, was it genuine?
You mean a relic of the 16th century? Oh, quite frankly, after such a long period of time and without the evidence, I am not prepared to say.
But you told us the story. You said the monks fired the Abbey and hid the treasure.
Oh, but this is mere supposition, legend, hearsay.
But listen. If Harley found one gold relic, there might be others.
I doubt it.
It's possible. Well, why are you smiling?
A fanciful thought. The hallucination we suffered. The ghosts we created out of mist. Why? They could have been your monks defending their property.
Then it might still be there.
I said nothing of the sort.
I'm ruined, Dr. James.
If there is anything I can do to help.
Oh, God bless you. I knew I could depend on your friendship. The fact is, to be honest with you, there's some little problem with the insurance company.
Oh, dear me.
A minor difficulty. They seem to find it odd that everybody had left the building before it went up in flames. It's quite monstrous to suggest. Oh, James, you can bear witness that we went to the Abbey because we'd celebrated rather too well. We needed fresh air. We decided to take a walk. And I stood next to you in the cloister all the time.
Leighton, are you telling me you are suspected of having started the fire yourself?
It's ludicrous. Absurd. Oh, not that I blame them. No. Obviously, they have to be cautious. But I must have the money, James. I must. And if you will just speak for me, explain the situation. A man of your reputation and standing should have no trouble in persuading them.
I see, yes.
Well, what do you think? Huh?
I think, Mr. Leighton, it was distinctly fortunate that I happened to be staying at your house over Christmas.
Yes, thank heaven. You will write a suitable letter to the insurance company.
No.
But, Dr. James...
I'm very sorry. I fear I must absolutely decline to have any part in this business.
But why?
Oh, Leighton, you cannot have been listening to my Christmas story. The monks, as you remember, set fire to the Abbey to conceal their theft of the treasure. The abbot himself turned a blind eye to their scheming. They were all hanged, my dear fellow.
You must help me. You've got to help me, for pity's sake.
Forgive me. What I may have neglected to tell you was that the abbot was hanged as well. I never saw Arthur Leighton again. He wrote to me once, a wild, incoherent epistle from which I gathered the insurance company had refused to pay him. I was not entirely surprised. At any rate, one morning I opened my newspaper to read the unhappy news that the schoolmaster had been found hanged amongst the Abbey ruins.
I really deplore the sensational attitude of the press. They apparently dug up the Hᴏᴅɪᴏ legend, and some journalist who ought to have known better described the instrument of death as a monk's girdle. Quite incorrect. The thing round Arthur Leighton's neck was undoubtedly a cincture. As I explained to young Harley, the monks of Hᴏᴅɪᴏ Abbey wore a brown habit, a cowl, and a cincture. But that fact must be regarded as mere coincidence. Hmm?
That was Echoes from the Abbey by Sheila Hodgson, based on an idea by M.R. James with David March as James. Arthur Leighton was played by Arnold Diamond, Mrs. Leighton by Zan Churchman, Harley by Timothy Stark, Mary by Helena Breck, Gladys by Tessa Worsley, and Cook by Anne Jameson. The carol singers were played by Peter Aker and Brian Smith, and the firemen were Christopher Douglas and Colin Starkey. Echoes from the Abbey was directed by David Johnston. Echoes from the Abbey by Sheila Hodgson, based on an idea by M.R. James, with David March as James. Echoes from the Abbey.
I have always held that friendship is the main thing. Friendship ranks first amongst the uncertain pleasures of this world. I have been fortunate in my friends, but acquaintances, that is an altogether different matter. The casual meeting, the mumbled introduction, the name that all too often fails to reach my ear, and if it does, will convey nothing when I come face to face with the owner some days later. Oh, horrible, horrible. But the letter from Arthur Leighton now. We had met infrequently since 1893 down the years. He was a good student who blazed a path through King's and then fizzled off into the shadows. He had apparently been made headmaster of some private school. Well, well. The man wanted me to visit him at Christmas, a suggestion I should most certainly have declined had not my own plans gone sadly awry owing to illness. His letter struck me as altogether too friendly, eager, pressing. But the address fascinated me. Hᴏᴅɪᴏ Abbey. I really felt a great desire to examine Hᴏᴅɪᴏ Abbey. And then again, you see, his letter was so very odd.
We are honored, Dr. James. It's really very good of you. And at Christmas, too. Though Arthur tells me you're working on a book.
Yes.
Something to do with the English abbeys. Oh, how fascinating. It must be wonderful to be able to write. And such, well, intellectual work, too. I'm sure I should find any book of yours quite incomprehensible. Are you comfortable in that chair? Do feel at liberty to change. Perhaps you'd like to be nearer the fire.
No. This is admirable, thank you.
Of course, something.
God bless my soul.
I hope you don't mind plain speaking. I believe in being honest. And you are such an old friend of the family.
You are most kind, Mrs. Leighton, but do let us clarify the situation. I have not seen your husband for several years. He was one of my best students at Cambridge.
Oh, yes, the dreaming spires.
You are thinking of Oxford.
Oh, how foolish of me. I expect that's a cardinal sin. Oh, would you care for some tea? I don't think Arthur can be much longer. I can't imagine how he came to miss you at the station.
Please do not distress yourself. The walk was the most enjoyable.
Yes, madam?
Tea, Mary. And muffins?
Thank you, yes.
The only thing that makes winter at all tolerable, don't you agree? Hot muffins by the fire. Muffins, Mary?
Crumpets, madam.
Oh, very well. 2 each. And tell cook they must have plenty of butter on them.
Yes, madam.
We find it so difficult to get really good servants these days. And we have to have a large staff, you see, because of the boys.
Quite.
I believe I read one of your stories in a magazine.
Indeed.
Yes. It was on the way to Liverpool Street.
Are you entirely sure? I cannot remember any story of mine.
No, you misunderstand me. I was on the way to Liverpool Street. Train journeys can be so tedious. I had to have something to read.
No doubt.
I seem to remember horrid noises and a ghost. In my opinion, we have quite enough real troubles in this world without bothering to invent... Oh, there's Arthur.
Dr. James, I must apologise.
You missed him at the station.
You gave me the wrong time, my dear. The Cambridge train arrives at 3:20, not at 4:10. I'm delighted to see you, sir.
How are you, Leighton?
Oh, it's very civil of you to come, and in such cold weather, too. Oh, have you had tea?
Mary is bringing muffins, dear.
Crumpets, I believe. We were served, eventually, with toast. Mrs. Leighton pleaded some domestic chore and left us sitting before the fire.
Another piece of toast, Dr. James.
Oh, thank you, no.
Gin?
Quite unnecessary, I assure you.
Oh, you're too hot. I knew those logs were a mistake. Just pull your chair back. Only, please be careful of the tiger.
I beg your pardon.
It's behind you, the tiger skin rug. It looks so rich and primitive lying there, but people keep falling over the head, particularly visitors.
I shall exercise caution. Am I to understand that your husband shot?
Good heavens, no. Arthur is the mildest man on earth. Quite frankly, that is part of the trouble. He ought to take a much stronger line when dealing with inferiors and parents. I'm sure you are always very firm with tiresome characters, Dr. James. The women are the worst, don't you find? Oh, what we suffer from a lot of wretched mothers. Why are you staring at the rug?
Oh, forgive me. It is an interesting object. Dear me, yes. That is the fatal bullet hole, no doubt.
No, moth.
Moth?
We got 12 and sixpence off the price because it had moth. I put my foot down. When times are a little difficult, have you noticed? Everybody starts to cheat you. And you won't believe this. Our butcher asked for payment in cash. Oh, please don't move the rug. It's covering